Tom Aspinall has come out and said some pretty true-based things on the company formerly known as Twitter or whatever it is. And it's all got to do with the fact that he's the interim champion, as we all know, yet he is not the next one in line to fight the heavyweight champion, Jon Jones. Instead, he is left essentially out in limbo while the UFC puts on this fake heavyweight championship fight between the ranking squatter Stipe Miocic and Jon Jones. Now, sorry, I know you all know the story of what's going on there. I just wanted to set it up so that we're all on the same page as we get into this conversation. Now, today, you and I are going to look at what Tom Aspinall posted on X and the reaction that he is getting to it and how you can use that to show you in your group of mates, the ones that all get together online, send each other memes and news about the UFC, the one that you watch it with during the pay-per-views, the boys that you chat about it with at work, out of all those group of mates that you have, which one is the biggest insult that we have in our game? Which one is the casual? Because what's happening right now with Tom Aspinall is going to show you who the casual is. It's so funny to me, this term casual. Like, I cop it all the time down in the comments section, which I find just gold. Like, dude, my hobby outside of work is making these little videos on my camera phone, all based on MMA. I watch MMA religiously. I think about it constantly, and yet somehow I'm a casual, which I just find so strange. Or the other day, I was installing some manholes for a client, and I tuned into Lucas Tracy, and he's calling his entire community Lucas Tracy's calling his entire community casuals on a live stream for not agreeing with him. And I was just laughing to myself like, mate, these guys are in your live stream at like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. US time, all talking about MMA. None of these people like tuning into you are casuals. No one watching this video is a casual. You aren't listening to this, searching somewhere on YouTube, finding more MMA content, finding more things to talk about on MMA to bring you all the way to Dougie's Corner. If this is on your list, you've already been through all the other things that are available to you. You land here and want to hear someone else's perspective. That's not casually involved in MMA. But let's bring this back to the topic on hand here. How do you spot a casual, and what has this got to do with heavyweight? Well, I'm going to tell you. And it's the reason I set up the start of the video the way that I did. We all know what's going on at heavyweight. Now we're all on the same page. So Tom has had a bit of a lash out on Twitter with what's going on. He's just spit some straight facts. He said, last time Stipe fought and won, GTA San Andreas had just come out on PS2. Now I think he was being sarcastic and using a bit of hyperbole, right? But that's what he said. He said he will fight next for the undisputed heavyweight title ahead of me, who's the interim champ, active and ranked #1 in the world right now. This makes me quite upset. And people started to give him grief for this. And so he went and dropped a few more X's. He goes, fun fact, since Stipe last won a fight, August 2020, I have blown out my knee, went through the rehab process, had a year off, also had 7 UFC fights, including 4 wins, top 10 rank opponents, and won the interim title on 2 weeks' notice. Absolutely, Stipe has had a great resume and is a legend in his own right. So is Tony Ferguson. Maybe we should give him a title shot next at the undisputed title too. Now, this is all 100% true from Tom Aspinall. This is completely true. And this is what Tom Aspinall should be saying. It's his job to get himself pay-per-view points and fight for the undisputed title next. But people were giving him grief for this. People like UFC Alien, whoever the hell that is. He goes, I think that fake belt is getting to your head, buddy. Or Nicholas Essex said, Tony wasn't the greatest lightweight of all time though, Stipe was. I assume he means Stipe was the greatest heavyweight of all time. Some dude named Jacob said, you're acting desperate, Tom. You're not the same star power level as Jon or Stipe. Stipe is the best heavyweight on the UFC, has had. You had just got the interim belt. I know you want to go undisputed, but this is just screaming desperate. It's both their retirement fights. Let them just have their fun. Now, the few ladies and the many gentlemen that are watching this, I put it to you that Tom Aspinall is 100% right. The interim title purely exists as a placeholder until the champ is back to unify it. that means that it is Jones versus Aspinall next. Stipe lost his last fight. That means he needs to fight a contender next. He also lost it to DC and then won it back against DC, much like Adesanya lost it and then won it back and then lost it again. Stipe has to restart his title run, or did have to restart his title run. He was on a new run and then lost it via second round KO to Francis Ngannou. Stipe needs to fight a contender again, just like Oliveira had to. There are plenty of champions who have been dominant, lost it, got a rematch, lost it, and have to go back into the pool. And while there is an active interim champion, to say to Stipe Miocic, you're coming off a loss, you need to fight one contender before you get to walk in for a title fight, is not unfair. And this is how you can spot a casual, because their only argument for why Stipe should get the fight is because it's a big fight. And it isn't. It isn't a big fight at all. It's an average fight. Half the community doesn't even want this fight. And if your only argument is that it's a big fight, even though it isn't, it's a lukewarm fight, it means that you are looking at the UFC through the new WWE model. And the UFC is meant to be about the best versus the best. The UFC is not about what's the biggest, most fun fight we could make. Then you might as well just take the championship belt and throw it away. Because the championship belt and the rankings and the whole thing this UFC is marketed around is that it's meant to be the best fighting the best. And now we are slowly getting to the stage where it is just who is making the most pay-per-view sales. The highest selling fighter versus the highest selling fighter. What is the point of even having a belt then? That is how we ended up with Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, and that fight was a dud. And Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic is not going to be an exciting fight. Stipe Miocic is very, very old and inactive. It's not going to be an exciting fight. At least Colby Covington, who didn't deserve his shot against Leon Edwards, got a win before he went and sat out and then got his belt. This is just purely cheering for a ranking squatter in Stipe because you like the WWE side of it, you like the play of it more. And to me, that is peak casual behavior. Tom Aspinall is healthy. Stipe is as healthy as a senior citizen can possibly be. UFC 300 still doesn't have a main event. UFC London still needs a main event. Jon Jones can sit in the front row of either UFC 300 or UFC London and walk into the cage after the fight and do the WWE style face-off that all you casuals like and use that to sell the fight as the rightful heavyweight championship bout. But to sit there and cheer for Stipe when he's just sitting on the sidelines, healthy, refusing to fight anyone, and then getting to walk into a title fight because it sells something, it sells more than nothing, couldn't be more casual. And instead we're doing it just so we can bolster this fake narrative of a fight between Jones and Stipe so Jones can just win and then retire as the man that beat the heavyweight GOAT. He is now the greatest fighter of all time. He might already be. To me, it's Mighty Mouse. But that he will go out in the UFC's media marketing machine as the greatest of all time, beat the greatest heavyweight of all time. He is the greatest fighter of all time. And Francis Ngannou was too scared to fight him, according to Dana White. And if you're for that, you are just glazing the UFC. You are just glazing Dana White. If like you're hanging with the boys and you spot the one that thinks like Stipe versus Jones is the rightful fight over Stipe versus Aspinall or Aspinall versus Jones, that's the casual in the group, mate. That person doing that is just a male reality TV show fan. You know the people that like the Real Housewives of Connecticut or wherever, or Love and Hip Hop or Big Brother, those trash drama shows. He's just the male version of that. He's just a filthy casual that's there for the WWE side of it. Anyway, they're just my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below, just like Donkey Kong did. This was really interesting. This was on the Aljamain Sterling is a prelims fighter now video, and I loved this one from Donkey Kong. He said, BJJ fans understand what they're watching when they tune into a BJJ match. They want to watch high-level human chess. No one asked Aljo to come in and to try and make things what outsiders consider to be more exciting. And he copped some hate for that comment in the comment section because people were calling it boring. But he's absolutely right. You don't go to a cricket match and complain that it isn't NASCAR. You went to a cricket match to watch cricket. If the BJJ fans like what they're watching and tuning in what they're watching and pay for it and make that a market, it's not Aljo's job to go in there and complain that it's boring. And again, it is why Aljo receives some of the criticism, because he uses the rules to his advantage in his sport of MMA, where he can just put his hands in the ground and ass in the air like an absolute coward. But then he goes into BJJ, someone plays the rules to their advantage, and he'll cry about it on Twitter for 2 or 3 days. That's very hypocritical. And Donkey Kong's absolutely right. It's their sport. They're tuning into it for a reason. Not Aljo's place to make it entertaining for them. They know what they find entertaining. That's why they're tuning into it. I like that one a lot. Let me know your comments down below on this. Tyron Aspinall, Stipe Miocic, John Jones, little love triangle that's going on. Is this how we spot a casual? Should UFC and MMA be merit-based, or should we just throw away the entire ranking system and just say, you know, who's got the most likes on Instagram and on Twitter this week? That's who can fight for the championship. Let me know down there in the comments. If you've been enjoying these videos, please hit that subscribe button down there. It means so much to small content creators like myself. And of course, I'll see you all in the next one.